So we're here on the south coast of New South Wales in a little estuary system just down south of Bateman's Bay. Mitch and I have decided to come out. We're going to go and chase some salmon on soft plastics. So there's a fair few fish busting up, feeling pretty confident. Let's get into it, mate. What is it? First one who hooks up has to make the coffee. There we go, first fish of the trip, first cast. Oh no, Mitch blew his, that means I've got to make the coffee. There's actually fish busting up everywhere here. And Mitch is on. So when the fish are on, this is great fun, it's dead easy. I've actually got a Z-Man 5-inch grub on. Mitch has got a Z-Man 3-inch minnow. They're both perfect profiles when you're chasing pelagic fish in the estuaries. They're good quality fish too. With a nice, solid South Coast salmon. You had about 5 or 6 goes at it. The best thing about when there is competition like this, there is fish literally busting up all around the boat. You'd think you're up in the tropics chasing queenfish or tuna or something like that, but we're down south and they're Australian salmon. They're a great sport fish. Hard fighting, prolific, grow to a good size. We've had a great start of the morning. I think I might get the hooks out of this bloke and put him straight back. So Mitch is still playing around down the back of the camera. I don't know if the camera can actually pick it up, but mate, you going to bring that fish in today, or you know, morning tea time by the time you get that fish in. Good South Coast salmon. He's a little bit tired because we are fishing quite light line. We're fishing 6-pound braid with 8-pound fluorocarbon leaders, and this fish is quite tired, but we'll get him back in the water pretty quickly. They're great fun when there's nothing else happening and you just happen to be some fish busting up. You know, we've caught half a dozen already and they are just great fun. So it gives you an opportunity to actually experience a really good hard fighting sport fishing species in the estuary systems. We might spear him back into the water, mate, and we'll go motor back up and see if we can't get another one. When you are chasing salmon in the estuary systems, particularly with soft plastics, you don't actually need a lot of fancy retrieves. But sometimes the fish can actually be quite deep. So it pays to actually, when you cast out, probably the simplest method is to actually first cast out, do a couple of retrieves so that your lure is just going under the surface. So you're probably sitting, 30 centimetres to a metre under the surface. And it doesn't have to be an ultra fast retrieve, just a constant good sort of walking pace retrieve. But if you're not getting any fish and you're confident there's fish there, when you cast out, just allow your lure to sink down so you actually can work those different levels of the water column. That way you're covering both bases. We've just been faced with a scenario that's actually quite common. What's happened is the wind's died right off, sun's popped up a little bit higher in the sky, and the fish have gone down, so they're not actively feeding on the surface, but the fish are actually still there. They're just staying down quite deep. Pays to get your lure down a little bit deeper in the water column and you should come up with some fish. The other bonus is if the salmon aren't there and you're fishing down near the bottom, you have a chance of picking up a flathead or something like that. When you are coming out in an estuary and actually chasing salmon, one of the things that you should be looking for is, or a lot of people say, well, where do I fish for them? They could be anywhere, and that is true. But a couple of areas to start looking is generally the front or the entrance of your estuary. So where you're getting that cooler oceanic water coming in. And what that does is it brings lots of nutrients, but it also brings bait fish, mullet, small yellowtail and schools of small fish, which the salmon will follow in. They'll come around the headlands and actually come into the entrance of the estuary. So fishing the entrance is a good starting point. The other area that's actually really worthwhile fishing is looking for the deeper channels. So even though here we've been sort of working sort of shallow weed beds and working the patches in between them, what we've actually done is on the either side of them you've got like a channel that only runs, it's probably only about 2.5 to 3 metres deep, but it's just marginally deeper, so the water motors through there a little bit faster. And of course when you get your fish like these fish, like your salmon, they'll actually cruise up and down there hunting the bait fish. Some of the soft plastics you need when you're actually fishing for salmon in the estuaries, really you can't go past the minnow or the fish shape. We've been using, this morning we've actually nailed quite a number of good fish on the Z-mans, particularly in the 3-inch minnows. What's really impressed me about the 3-inch minnows, and all the plastics from Z-man that we've been using include some of the 5-inch grubs, is the actual elasticity and durability of the plastics. A lot of tackle shops or a lot of tackle brands actually claim to be durable. This particular lure this morning, Mitch has caught about 15, sort of 18 fish, and it's only just found the end of its days, so it's actually really held up well under the pressure of all those fish. The other lure apart from the minnows, and that's the minnow, which is a great lure, the 3-inch minnow. The other one, as I just mentioned before, is the 5-inch grub. As you can see there, and you can see by the elasticity of those, you know, that's stretching it 4 or 5 times. So when you've got a bream or a salmon or any other species for that matter that actually grabs it, it actually can last quite a long time. And it's fantastic too when you're actually retrieving your lures quite fast, so your lure doesn't actually tend to get pulled off. So the tide's bottomed out, and as the old saying goes, no run, no fun. So we had absolutely no water movement, everything just shut down. We had just a little bit of a rest and a regather. Check, good opportunity to change leaders and check knots. Tide's just started to move now, just started to push in. So the water's pushing in from the system. Straight away Mitch has hooked up on another salmon. Quite a nice one too. That was on the drop, that one. It's quite amazing how we've had a couple of hours where the fishing's been really, really quiet. We saw quite a few fish, but they just weren't on the job. The tide had just dropped down to the bottom. As soon as there's just that little bit more water movement, fish have come back on. I remember reading a story many years ago as a young bloke that Alex Julius wrote, a quote that I've sort of lived by, and that's never leave fish to find fish. I think the case was we found fish here, they weren't feeding, so we stuck around, just waited for that tidal change. Here a nice salmon, late in the afternoon. Mine's actually taken on one of the 3-inch craws. Just working across the bottom there, and the salmon's picked up actually off the bottom. Mitch has got one of the minnows, 3-inch minnows. So certainly that size, that 3-inch or 7.5 centimetres is a really good uniform sized lure. Feels a bit little, mate. I'll beat you this time for a change. Might get these blokes back in the water.
It's Bill Klassen here from The Fishing Show, and if you like this instructional video and want to learn more, it's simple. Go to fishingshowtv.com.au and see a whole host of additional videos.